everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
And me, Banshee. Welcome. Welcome to the Unhappy Hour.
Where does it hurt?
Where we tell you or ask you, where does it hurt? And we tell you how to turn that frown upside down. We hope. And then we do almost impossible task and do one for the world.
Right. So the reading is divided up by the quarterly signs of the Zodiac. So
you mean the elemental signs of the Zodiac?
Right, the elemental signs of the Zodiac. So you can just go right to your own time spot. They're listed in the information.
Let's start with
the air signs.
And the air signs are
Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius.
Yes, this reading's for you.
So we go 4 cards.
Let's talk about, again, we do this every 4th quarter moon. And so this will come back. This reading is good till the next 4th quarter moon. These are issues we need to resolve and work on during this time period.
There are 4 main questions, but the main thing to note is that as a converse or inverse to the happy hour, where all cards are read right side up, in the unhappy hour, they are read upside down.
Everything is topsy-turvy, upside down, for better or worse, because we do know there are some cards that are better upside down.
And believe it or not, we somehow still arrive with satisfactory information to help you turn that frown.
We'd like to think.
We'd like to think.
And I'm using the This Might Hurt Tarot deck by Isabella Rotman. So, kind of appropriate, we feel, for this particular reading. All right. All right, air signs, let's find out, where are you hurting right now? Or will be during this 4th quarter moon period.
So the first card is, what is or will be making the air signs unhappy right now?
It's the Ace of Cups reversed. Well, that's certainly an unhappy card, correct, Mr. O?
It is. It could signal the idea that maybe a new, strong emotional relationship or relationship with something has kind of tanked or is not showing the signs you thought it was, or maybe it has actually ended in a disaster already or portends that.
Something that you thought would bring you joy and happiness and pleasure seems to have not come to be. You know, could this be a canceled trip? Could this be problems that you have on a trip? Just a bad experience? Could this be something else joyful in life that just didn't turn out? Gosh, a broken engagement, you know, a romance gone bad. There's so many different areas. It does seem like it might be in your interpersonal realm at the moment, but let's not rule out the fact that you could feel sorrow and sadness over some loss or difficulties in the work environment as well.
So then card 2 is, how will you be dealing with or how are you dealing with this unhappiness?
I think this is very constructive. It's the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups is, of course, reversed. And I think this is positive. You're actually coming up with what you feel is a resolution to this, you know, or something you want to move on to from here. I like this. I think it's positive and constructive. In other words, you're either thinking of ways, you know, you've been surveying your options, and now you're ready to make a decision on either how to approach the situation or how to let it go and move on to something else.
Well, clearly with the Cups too, it sort of brings the idea about something that maybe could bring joy, but maybe is bringing sadness. And so the 7 of Cups reverse does indicate we find a way to choose what is best for ourselves, what we think works the best. And so maybe in the aftermath of the first card where something really sort of fell apart, was a failure, we're still able to find a way to pick up the pieces or to focus on some other options to get us beyond that. Card 3. why are our feelings justified? Especially in terms of card 1, this thing that we feel has caused unhappiness.
Now, you saw me scatter the cards in the beginning and mix them back together and
I did.
shuffle different parts of the deck together.
It's a repeat card we just
No,
started?
it's another cup card.
Oh,
And
dear.
it's the 2 of Cups. And I was getting a lot of cup cards in my Material Matters show for this week. And so I'm just wondering what's going on here with our emotional, interpersonal lives. At any rate, here we go.
Reverse it.
It is reversed. It's the 2 of Cups. Why are your feelings justified? Ooh, ouch.
Well, clearly this may feel like, something is no longer harmonious, something can no longer be trusted. It may actually have been a relationship which was hinted all along in certain respects.
In certain respects, yeah.
And so this pain, this unhappiness you feel is because something has been overturned, severed. If it's not an actual physical relationship, a deep emotional bond, love, a marriage. And it's like I want to say right now, what's going on, air signs?
Well,
if this is
air
true,
signs, it could be a partnership at work. It could be you severing ties with a job you loved, but couldn't take anymore because there were issues and problems there that affected your emotional life, made you totally stressed out, whatever. But yeah, it does look like this could be relationship oriented. 3 cup cards, I can't rule that out. And I feel here too that, something is definitely being severed. It's almost, I'm not going to say you can't ever get back together again, but for now, that is the way things are going, and what's befallen you, and now you have to survey your options. Or you're deciding on a course of action. Are you trying to rescue and save this relationship, or are you looking at your options and moving on? There's a decision I think you're working on here.
And that card itself rings the most true to the idea about, some general expression or personality with the air signs. They tend to be a little bit more thinking persons and less ruled necessarily by their emotional energy. So clearly this may be something that has kind of rocked your boat no matter what it is.
Wow.
Card
Ready?
4. How to return that frown upside down. And it is the reverse 10 of Pentacles. And of course, there's always the idea that maybe that's impossible. That maybe something can't turn the frown upside down.
Well, maybe not. Maybe this is solutions, in its own negative light here. I think one way you could turn that frown upside down is if this was really important to your emotional stability and security, maybe even your financial security, this job, you may be looking for an option here that could rescue this and resolve the differences or problems that you face, even if they are daunting ones. Or, you will be looking for more stability and more potential, people that you surround yourself with, or an individual, partner that really, is all in on your goals and aims as well as their own. I kind of feel that this could be a positive year. I think in that you always have options. You're either going to stay or go. You won't be able to avoid the feelings you have from this situation. You got to feel the feels and resolve it. Shall we recap?
Well, I didn't really say anything.
Okay.
But I'm going to keep it short and sweet because in this context, to me, it feels like the 10 of Pentacles reversed is saying, like, you still belong to the family, but maybe you don't want to be quite as forthcoming. And so if this is the family around your relationship, your circle, whatever, you might not want to really engage people about what this was. People may be saying, well, I commiserate, I appreciate you, but maybe this is something you have to kind of internalize a little bit, before you end up, finding a way to deal with it better by picking a solution to move on. Let's recap.
I can't. I got to say something else because it hit me.
Because of...
I got to go out on a limb here and say, right now, for example, in the U.S., families are incredibly divided by the politics. And, people feel they can't talk to each other about, their beliefs or try to, even reason with each other because they're so far apart. So I don't know, some of you might be experiencing that as well. Since you brought up family, I thought, oh, look at what's dividing families so much right now. Okay. This could be true in other countries as well, with their own political things going on. People are not very open-minded. All right, go ahead, Mr. O. I'll let you start with the recap.
Okay, so the first card is what's making us unhappy. And clearly, it looks like something really fell apart that was very loved, very emotionally joyful to you.
Right, and it's sounding more and more like it's a relationship or relationships. It could be connected to an institution, and you have to move away from that. If it's a workplace thing and you got to see each other there every day and you can't deal with it.
Exactly.
Whatever the case may be, or like I've suggested the political thing with families, sometimes you got to kind of back off.
So card 2, how will you be dealing with this?
You're choosing a path forward. I don't know what it's going to be. It's entirely up to you, but you are choosing a path forward. You have surveyed your options. You're ready to make a choice, move, or decision.
Without really having to say it, you're clearly choosing a path that leads you to some other happiness. It may be happiness that's equivalent, or it's a happiness you knew was waiting if things got out of hand. But you're moving towards something that will make you feel better.
And you're justified here because you're really feeling this loss, this breakup, this rift that's keeping you apart, and that connections have been severed in some way. So your feelings are justified in feeling bad about this. But I see that at least you're trying to do something constructive, beyond what you're feeling.
In this context, it may also feel like the disharmony feels like a betrayal of sorts too. And so you may be, feeling justified because you feel in a way you were betrayed. The confidence and trust was severed.
And you turn that frown upside down by either trying to, whatever your choice is, either you feel it's worth it to try to reestablish the stability and security and support that you once had in this particular situation, relationship, etc., or you're finding a way to find it somewhere else.
It's also possible, too, that really you are kind of fortifying or needing to fortify what your foundation is around your heart, whatever, so maybe you're not going to be a part of the normal gang or situations like that. You're just going to kind of close off a little bit until you can maybe adapt and feel better.
Well, good luck, air signs.
Good luck, air signs. So now we will move on to the fire signs.
Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. This reading's for us for the fourth quarter period.
Yes. So, most of the Aries are pretty happy-go-lucky. What could be, causing their pain?
And I shouldn't say the fourth quarter period, till the next fourth quarter period.
It's a month-long reading.
Yes. We got to give you time to work through these issues. This just can't heal things overnight. And anybody who thinks they can...
What would Bly and Lady Esmeralda say?
Bly is here. Bly will be here for our world reading. All right.
Okay, so card 1. What is or will be making the fire signs unhappy right now? And it's the reversed King of Swords.
Ooh, we're angry.
Yeah, you're angry. You may feel like...
Or we're dealing with somebody who's out of control.
That could be that. You may be feeling like you've been put in a position where you have to make a decision, and it's going to be really rough because, you could be accused of favoritism or something like that. This could, even though it's swords, it looks like this is about an interpersonal thing, whether it's, work related or some other aspect of your personal life. You won't like making a decision maybe that maybe is necessary to make. Have to say that too.
Right, you feel maybe like you're being put on the spot here. And, we do like to do things quickly, fire signs, but apparently, this is kind of an important decision, and maybe you're under the impression that people are trying to railroad you into making it, and so, and boxing you in a corner, and we don't like that. We will respond to that.
It's an interesting paradox in a way, because on their own, fire signs are used to being pretty quick, fast starters. But maybe when sort of, put in a corner of some sort, maybe they want to dig in a little bit. And so it makes you unhappy. It's an unpleasant feeling.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that for now, but I may change my mind seeing what the cards have to say.
So card 2, how will the fire signs be dealing, or how are they dealing with this unhappiness? And it's the 8 of Cups reversed. And I almost feel like they're saying they're very frustrated because they really feel they know the way to better, but nobody's listening, or nobody will let them do it.
Yeah, I do see that they feel they have a better way, but now they feel like they have to abandon that because of, whatever this is. It's frustrating because fire signs, again, like to move forward. We like to progress. And in a sense, this makes us feel like somebody's making us get stuck where we are. Maybe it's with a decision that would put you, for example, stuck in a hole more financially. Maybe you thought, it was something that would help you, and now you're not so certain anymore. But whatever the case may be, it's almost as if you feel as though you have to take steps backwards, and you're not liking that.
I almost have the feeling that there's something about this arrangement that has a consensus feel about it. Like if it's not just a really close relationship, maybe it's a workplace office thing, and the ability to not necessarily want to conform is going to be a part of your way of dealing with it.
So this is about how are you dealing with it?
Right.
And I'm saying here a little bit differently that they're making you do this, but that's your feelings. You're dealing with this by not moving, by standing still or going back and not moving with the situation. Maybe, for example, you're refusing to sign on that dotted line. Maybe, for example, you're balking at whatever changes they're trying to implement at work.
I think we're talking about a passive-aggressive response to the situation. So whether it's workplace or not, I've heard about a workplace concept where people are slowly doing less and less, and I forget what it was called. Slow quitting or
slow
something.
quitting or something like that, correct.
But that could also apply to other kinds of situations where somebody is just passive-aggressively backing away and giving less of themselves to the relationship or the situation.
All right, so are your feelings justified here, though?
Oh, I think you wanted it to be a party, whatever it was, and now it doesn't feel that way.
I think your feelings are justified because you realize here that these people do not really have your best interests at heart on this card. And so your feeling, that's your feelings though. Whether that's true or not, I'm not completely sure, but that's why you feel the way you do. You're very suspicious of the motivations as to why things are going the way they are. And you don't feel like a bond with these people. Even if you had one in the past, you're realizing they're not really supporting me.
However this thing is, it also has the feel of really making it disenchanting morale-wise. Like maybe you feel that if it's not affecting others, it's certainly affecting you, that you just don't feel like you have those inclinations.
Okay, so how can you turn that frown upside down?
And Love the fact
Come
that it's all
on.
cups again.
3, no, not all, but 3 last time
literally.
and 3 this time.
And it's the reverse Nine
Going
of Cups.
on.
How can you do it? Can you do it?
By putting your fears to rest, either confronting this head on and demanding some answers, or just being upfront and saying, I'm not playing this game. I don't want to go here. I think one way or another, you have to put your fears at rest. Either you have to get them to explain themselves and realize maybe you blew things out of proportion, or that you're right. And, you're just going to tell them, no, I'm not going to play this game. Oh, it's a 9 of Cups.
I still like what you said, and I maybe will pull you out of the fire a little bit, but the reverse Nine of Cups could also be saying, too, that there's an acceptance of this disenchantment, this idea that things don't feel happy, don't have happiness for you or joy. So I almost feel like, despite the fact there's a lot of emotionality expressed here, that it may be relating to something more than your specifically personal life. It may be about a workplace. It may be
I'm going to throw some options out there in the recap. I like that.
All right.
I mean, I am sort of seeing workplace ties here. I could see personal goal ties, but I feel here, now realizing I'm looking at the 9 of Cups, I don't know what I was thinking, but it's similar in that you really don't feel, with this lack of support and the other things that I've mentioned, that there's anything good that can come out of this for you. That, this will not... you can turn that frown upside down by putting your goals and needs first and saying, I have to stand up for myself here. I have to stand up for what I want and what I desire. And I think because this is all about manifesting goals, it's turned around. You don't get your wish. So how do you turn it around? Find the way to get your wish. Whether that means moving on from the situation, letting it go, or trying to get them to explain themselves so you realize what you are getting into, and maybe it's not as bad as it seemed.
Was that the recap? I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
Well, we can briefly recap it, but I think that the thing that makes you most unhappy right now is maybe being forced to make a decision, or maybe not liking the decision you have to make. It's the 8 of Cups. How you're dealing with it, there seems to be a sense of avoidance. There seems to be a sense of feeling like you're once again the only one that understands where it's going, and you don't like where it's going. The 3 of Cups reverse, to me, your feelings are justified because you feel it sort of pulls down the morale of a situation, whether it is work or not. It sort of seems to make you, or maybe others, feel unhappy, unharmonious. You liked it before, you don't like it so much now. And then finally, with that 9 of Cups, well, you might have to come to an acceptance of what it is that can make you happy in the situation and what is not.
I like that.
And just, move on as you can.
I think that's a really good way to sum up that 9 of Cups here, is that if you're not satisfied, then you're just going to have to move on. But if you can deal and find a way to live with it, then you'll stay. But this really does smack of a workplace situation.
Doesn't it?
I'm almost thinking that it could be procedural changes, upgrades in technology or procedures that make major changes to your workflow and how it's done. Perhaps downsizing, where people are expected to somehow find a way to fit more work into their day. And so you feel like you have no choice in the situation, whatever it is. You're boxed into a corner. You feel like this is taking you backwards and forwards, and that's how you're reacting to it too. You're kind of not wanting to move forward with this. You're kind of being slow, rebellious, and sluggish with it. And you just don't think that you're getting enough support from management or your peers, whatever this is involving, and you just are frustrated. So your feelings are justified. And ultimately, as Mr. O said so nicely there, I think you have to decide, can you find satisfaction here? Can you calm down, learn to deal with it, or not? And then make a decision from there.
I can't calm down, nor can I can't get no
Oh no, satisfaction.
And I did try. At any rate,
And
we
I
are
try.
now.
And I try.
And I try. A little bit of the Devo version in there.
Okay.
Water
So,
signs.
the water signs, who are they, Mr. O?
The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And, maybe it's a generalism, but, they sort of play their emotions right on their sleeve. But so what's bumming them out? What are they going to have to do about what's making them unhappy?
Okay, so far it's been Cup-a-palooza, and they've been, of course, everything's reversed in this reading. So emotional turbulence, I think, is kind of the cornerstone so far for half of our zodiac here.
And the water signs are normally represented by the cups in terms of aspects or things. So
yeah.
Who knows, eh? Watch them have all the angry cards from the swords. I shouldn't jinx it, eh?
Don't jinx it. Well, at any rate, like I said, I feel even with the material matter show I did, there's a lot of emotion here. And so the first reading seemed to be more of a personal situation, though it could be work-related. The air signs, the fire signs seem more work-related, that there's some emotional turbulence. Let's see what's going on with the emotional signs, the water signs.
All right, here we go. Card 1, what is or will be making the water signs unhappy right now? And here we go. It's the Lovers reversed. And of course, this could talk to the actual idea of, a love that is really on the rocks of some sort or has some major difficulties. The actual meaning of the Lovers can also point to the idea that maybe there are choices in relationships or things that bring us, joy or feelings of love, but they're not always the same exactly in the denouement, what we actually get out of those relationships, or also how other people maybe can look at this and say, why did you choose that?
Well, so what's making you unhappy is it could be something going wrong in a relationship, some disharmony, but also, I don't know, when I see the Lovers reversed, I sometimes worry about some infidelity in a relationship, somebody not being upfront in a relationship, making wrong choices in how, in truth-telling, let's just put it that way. And I think here, too, this could just revolve around something that's making you unhappy, involving an emotional choice or decision that's being made about you or you about somebody else.
And I like what you said there, though. It is probably an indication of possible adultery.
Okay, so how are you dealing with this situation? Well, it's not a cup card, but there's usually a cup in that card.
And of course, it does have to deal with emotional quotients and qualities. It's temperance reversed.
Yes, and so you're not dealing with it in a very balanced way right now. Maybe you need to step back a little bit and try to regain some composure, to breathe, meditate, try to get yourself in a calmer state of mind to deal with whatever this is that you have to deal with. But right now, you're not there. You're kind of a wreck.
Are you possibly angry or displacing other emotions because you want the cup to be empty or half empty and half full at the same time?
It is.
But it is. But maybe you can't see that in some sort of context that makes you understand your pain, that you feel like it's just sort of too personal and on some level.
Well, okay, Mr. Philosopher.
It was a weird analogy. I get it.
It's okay. I'm intrigued. Well, so are you feeling justified? Or are they? Or how are they?
It's the reverse Ten of Wands. Well, maybe you feel that this thing that's going away did have some burdens to it. Maybe you feel that there is something about it that will improve. Maybe, in fact, we're misreading some of this and feeling like Banshee has a different idea, of course, and I understand that. Go on.
Well, my idea doesn't hold precedence. I was perfectly happy.
I know that. I'm just looking for a glimmer there.
Well, Ten of Wands is reversed here, which is a more positive card. But if you look at it in regards to how are your feelings justified, I think it's because maybe you feel you need to get something off your chest. You need to get something off of you that has been burdening you, and you're thinking this might be the time to do it. Maybe things have reached the point where, you're so frazzled and out of sorts that you realize something's got to give here.
Yeah, that's what it is, I think. I mean, I do feel that there's the idea of something being given up, and I think it actually makes you feel better, although it is really something you've already justified, perhaps. Maybe you already justified that this will be.
Yeah.
So how do you turn the frown upside down? Ooh.
It's our only cup card in the reading. But it's all emotional, 3 of them at least,
It may indicate that you will want to somehow close this.
You'll want to close this chapter in your life. I think that's what the decision is going to be here. Wow. This is like, holy cow.
Water signs.
Water signs. Let's take a look at this. I think here you have an important choice or decision of an emotional nature that's making you unhappy. Either somebody has dumped you, or you are considering dumping them, or, they've read you the riot act, whatever the case may be, and now you're left with a decision you need to make, you're stressing about.
Well, you may have read the tea leaves, so to speak, but maybe you realize the writing was on the wall and you realize that it is ending, and maybe you have a personal stake of some sort of being unhappy here. But as we will see later, I don't think it was totally on you, this unhappiness. There's pain to share.
Yes, and with Temperance reversed, you really, you're not handling this well right now because you need to step back and calm down. Sometimes when we get in arguments and fights with loved ones or lovers or, even office people, we're too inflamed and too set in our, part of the argument to really be able to see things from a more objective, fair point of view to try to resolve anything. And that's where you are right now. I mean, even if you decide to leave, people can leave things amicably. It doesn't always have to resort to a fight.
From some emotional point of view, it's not easy for you to deal with this. You almost would rather not deal with it, is what I think, because you realize there is real work involved in resolving this or bringing some balance or civility back into the situation.
Are your feelings justified? Well, yes, because you are unburdening, or how are they? Because you're trying to unburden yourself from the heaviness this is putting on your heart right now. I think that if we look at that card in that sense, with an emotional reading like this, it makes a lot of sense. It's been taking a heavy toll on you, and it's time to, either let it out in a constructive way, and, let it go. Make yourself unburdened. Those
previous cards did have strong emotional gravity, but we are also talking about the water signs who maybe have this going on, or at least their way of embracing these problems being more emotional on some level.
How can you turn that frown upside down? I'm going to say 2 things here. Number 1, clearly it looks like maybe this relationship will have to go the way of the dinosaur. It's done. But in the process of that, you need to have an open heart here and just say, okay, things didn't work out for us. Let's move on. you don't even have to necessarily be friends, but let's move on in peace and try to, at least not make it difficult for ourselves to move on.
Sometimes when relationships end, there's almost always some really, really bad feelings. And usually in the way, our society works, we're quick to want to have the blame be placed on somebody, whether it's true or not, or whether it's fair or not. This card could also be saying, try to let them go with love. Try to let them go to find the role they're supposed to have as well as you.
So did we recap? I think that was pretty concise. Yeah. So let's move on to the Earth signs.
Earth signs.
Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. This reading's for you for the week ahead. Oh, no, it's not. It's for the fourth quarter to the next fourth quarter.
Of the moon until they revolve around again.
Gee, we do too many shows where I say for the week ahead.
You're telling me.
All right. After this, we'll do a reading for the world. I can't imagine. So many bad things going on right now.
In the next week or two, we are hoping to get around to doing our set of presidential elections.
I'm hoping to do it next week.
Yep.
Next week.
And of course, coming with October will also be an increase of some theme-related kind of situations, we hope. Swapping in new creepy card decks to use, or possible features. We haven't fixed everything yet.
Yes, hopefully we'll both collaborate on that.
Where is the time?
In other words, I will be coming up with it.
Well, I gave you an idea. You said you liked it.
I did, but I said flesh it out.
I see. It is Halloween, so flesh for fantasy.
Flesh it out. Oh, I like it. No, I don't. All right. Okay, Earth signs. Where does it hurt?
Where does it hurt? What is or will be making the Earth signs unhappy now? Ooh, it's the Hangman reversed. Maybe we're at a point where we're sort of being stubborn about something we know we need to do. Something we know that makes things better for everyone, but maybe not necessarily ourselves. And so there sort of is a little bit of unhappiness of disassociating our own needs, ego needs of some sort, with maybe the needs for a greater good. And we sort of don't feel happy about being in this position, perhaps.
Yeah, people are calling you out to play and you're like, no. I mean, by that I'm saying is that you just don't seem to want to get involved in things right now. You just want to hang where you are, and you feel like you're being forced to contribute or participate in something that maybe, you'd rather not at this time. Maybe you're feeling lazy. Maybe, like he said, it's your ego. You just don't want this. Maybe you don't feel you're getting enough attention. Maybe you feel like you've already done so much for this group or this situation, and nobody's given you the kudos you felt you deserved. And it's making you unhappy.
So card 2, how will the Earth signs deal or will be dealing with that unhappiness? And it's the reverse Queen of Wands.
Doesn't that fit?
Well, to me, the first thing I thought was self-sabotage.
Well, I think this is pulling back. No, I'm not playing. I'm going to be just I'm part of the wall here. And I'm not, you can get me to come, but I'm not going to contribute. you know?
It's self-sabotage because people might expect you to be more your normal self, and they will see this deliberate pullback, as you say, and so it doesn't really necessarily ingratiate you with others, but it may make you feel like you're making a point, you're standing up for your ego again.
Well, again, come on, Earth signs. There is a little bit of ego here, with some of this. That, you're feeling as though, like I said before, that okay, if they're not appreciating my contributions, then I'm not going to. You're allowing yourself to feel disempowered by this instead of empowering yourself to stand out like you would if you were upright. Queen of Wands.
Card 3, why are your feelings justified? Or are they? And this came up reversed. It's the 6 of Swords reversed.
Okay, you just feel like, well, this thing is taking you nowhere. You just feel like there's nothing in it for you. You'd rather stay where you are, hanging, even though that may not be in your best interests.
All of these cards kind of look like a deliberate sense of, I'm going to take my toys and go home. Not maybe this one as much, but in general, some of this was kind of like, I'm not willing to concede, or I'm not willing to kind of go along with the majority. This may or may not be a consensus system, so you are free to walk away, if the vote doesn't go the way you want. But it's a sword, and it's really saying you're choosing maybe to stay where this bitterness still remains. You're not going to really be working on any of that.
You remember how you talked earlier in a different reading about quiet quitting, You can almost see it here in a way.
So are your feelings justified because you feel like you're just going to slowly move away disengaged?
Maybe, if that's what you want to do, but it doesn't make you look good, with that Queen of Wands reverse there. I have to say that. And so, depends on you. Okay, how do you turn this around? Well, I love it.
The 5 of Pentacles says, get over it. Get over it.
Get over your pouty, I don't want to play mentality here.
Go back into the light.
And join the crowd again,
Go join the crowd again.
Go join the crowd again. Go join your colleagues, peers, associates, your friends or your relatives that you've been avoiding, or your community. Be a part of things again.
At least a couple of these cards, maybe not this one too much, suggest that there will be perhaps some amount of soul searching, and that's what this one really implies. Is like when you really spend a little time thinking about it, you'll realize you're better off being there than not being there. That's just basic.
I really feel this could be business oriented. This could be this could also just be social situation oriented, like organizations and stuff. Let's say students, for example, who have school groups that they belong to, and maybe, you're experiencing some problems there. This could involve, like I said, other types of social organizations, even voluntary ones. Just because people are good-natured and they volunteer doesn't always mean that there aren't little power struggles and things that go on in those organizations as well.
So shall we recap?
Go ahead.
All right. So the first card, what is making you unhappy? Maybe it's your inability or unwillingness to really put others ahead of yourself. That's the basic idea, that maybe you feel unhappy because you don't want to get down from being your own level of importance.
You either have a lot of wisdom, knowledge, or skills to share, but you're just going to hold back. You're just like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. It's kind of like that attitude of, I want to be alone.
You're like Merlin as a menace.
Well,
okay.
I just feel that, or you maybe it's a situation where, You feel a tug here. Something has obviously drawn you to this, whether it's a career, whether it's courses of studies or organizations that you belong to. But you really are pulling back now. You're kind of pulling back and not willing to participate anymore. And right here with that card,
Okay, so that's the next card. How are you dealing with this? In my mind, I thought it was really kind of saying, you're sort of going to be a brat in a way. The Queen of Wands reversed is a little bit of a brat. They're overly pushy. They're overly conceited. They're all the qualities you associate with her, but they're sort of like hyped up. They're on steroids, as they say.
But I feel there's something else about her that fits too. And
the ego thing.
Well, no, once she's brought down where she feels she's not important enough to or she doesn't find the people around her important enough to be with, she kind of pulls back and withdraws. It's another thing where they withdraw. They feel like they are disempowered in some way. You don't want to share your knowledge and skills with others because people aren't appreciating or giving you the value. There's a combination of things going on here because besides the ego, there's this martyrdom syndrome that's associated with the Hanged Man. And the Queen of Wands wants attention and wants people to be drawn to her. And when it's reversed, if they're not getting that and you're not getting that as the Hanged Man reversed, you don't want to play. You just don't want to play.
And then that further goes to card 3. All of this makes your feelings more justified because you sort of feel like, I don't have to do this. I can stay where I'm at and I can work on what I think I need to, even though it bothers you to not move ahead.
So I'm going to throw this out there with that is like I absolutely agree with that. You are staying where you are even though those conditions are not necessarily good for you. You've chosen that over participating here, and all I'll say is maybe your feelings you feel are justified, but maybe you ought to think about that.
There's sort of like an inverse-outverse relationship to the idea of moving towards something or moving back towards something different.
Because why?
And so it pulls to that, the idea that really the only way you can make this better for yourself is kind of joining the party.
Well, this is saying become involved again. Mm-hmm. Don't back down. Don't back down and don't allow your ego, the fact that you're not getting enough ego strokes to stop you from contributing to something that might be vital and valuable. And certainly better than maybe wherever else you are right now. This might actually be better for you and make you feel better being a part of this group. Something has changed though and is making you not feel like you want to contribute. I feel it's ego. I feel like you should do this for the right reasons. Putting others, as Mr. O said in the previous talk about this card, ahead of yourself.
So that's what we have for the Earth signs.
Well, you know what time it is?
That means it's like boo-hoo world. Oh. Fly.
Fly is here as our emotional support. Squishmallow.
We're going to do a reading for the status of the world. What are these basic cards meaning in terms of the world context? It can't possibly be everything about the world, but it may point to the few issues that are maybe the most salient here. The idea of, populations experiencing certain things that make them unhappy. Or in a Gestalt kind of way, what is that tone of the overall world? We talk about sometimes the world's going crazy, the world needs an enema. Wait, that was Jack Nicholson. He said, this town needs an enema. But you get my idea. Oh, I didn't get to shuffle?
Oh, shuffle. And cut for me.
Why, certainly.
Maybe it needed all that. This is the world, after all, and quit dropping and bending my cards.
I'm going to have to.
What? The future looks bright, Mr. O. Fly's crystal balls.
Bly, Bly, tell me why. Why does the world have
I thought
to
you were going to
lie?
say, Bly, Bly, tell me sweet little lies.
Bly, Bly, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies, Bly.
All right.
Whoa, ho, ho, ho.
Just a little levity because you know this reading is going to hurt. Okay, what is
I feel
hurting
the
the
pain
world
already.
or
What is or
will
will be
be?
making the world unhappy?
What?
Oh no, the world wants to be a brat. No, the world thinks that everybody is really overextending in certain ways, and it's mostly about ambition. The wands can talk about motivational goals, trying to get ahead, succeed in business, things like that. So the queen sort of exemplifies the idea of using her charm, her ability to be charismatic, etc., to exude confidence, but it makes the world unhappy that maybe this is happening in a negatory way, that people are being more bully-like or more sarcastic.
There you go. So, I'm taking a different stand with the Queen of Wands this time myself, especially in this position, what is hurting right now, the world. I was going to have that one, but here. What is hurting the world right now is the fact that, God, it made me lose my thought. Why'd you do that?
There's some bad actors out there, some people who have really a bad negative.
No, there's an aggressiveness going on. There's an aggressiveness and almost cattiness, one might talk, going on, where people are really, bad-mouthing each other, and they're angry. I think there's a lot of angry energy surrounding this queen sometimes, too. She gets mad. She may also feel disempowered. Well, that could also be hurting the world right now. Many of us feel disempowered and unable to change the things that are going wrong in the world. I've suddenly got my mojo back. That's where I want to go with this queen because I feel it. I feel as though a lot of us think, well, for example, in the U.S., what will my vote do? People in Gaza, they feel pretty disempowered right now. People, in other countries, Lebanon, who might be caught in the crossfires between Hezbollah and Israel, they feel pretty disempowered right now. Ukrainians and Russians at the mercies of their governments. And so, I see that.
Somebody said, and I think this is true, they said that there are 30 or 31 actual declared wars of some sort going on right now around the world. Whether it's just little small countries that we never notice, but they're fighting each other for some reason.
And people are getting scared. And, like, for example, in this country where we have the authoritarianism rearing its head, political violence being threatened all the time, assassination attempts, it's making people back off and pull away from, the process, which is not good for any of us.
People are unhappy because they can't stand what they would feel to be normal, natural states of being charismatic or being competitive or being led to want to pursue something.
And once that starts happening, only the bullies remain to take control.
So, Card 2, how will the world deal with this unhappiness?
Well, what do you do when you pull back in fear and you feel disempowered? You pretty much do nothing. You look after your own needs. This is one of those things, I don't want to call the Empress selfish, but I feel here that this kind of ties into it in that I got to take care of myself right now. Maybe I need a pill because, the world is making me so anxious right now. And, that's where we're at. We're only looking at the self.
Right. In the context of this reading, I think that's really what it means, is that the idea of turning inward to yourself, your own family, or your own situation, is a self-care form that says, I have to withdraw from the crazy world. And, we've all been there, people who are friends on Facebook or Twitter or somewhere, and they say, I have to check out for a while. I have to do mental health, and then they leave those platforms for maybe a few weeks, maybe longer. The idea that sometimes people just say, whether this is right or not, I have to check out and take care of myself.
I think sometimes we all need self-care, but I think in this case, how the world is dealing with it is not productive enough.
Right.
And also because maybe in places where they've tried change, like for example, look at all the massive, and I'm talking massive protests that went on against the Netanyahu government in Israel. And yet, they haven't been able to change anything. Things have gotten worse. There's more war going on, more threats to Israel, and not getting any better. And so that's just one example. But that's why I feel here that people are suddenly feeling like there's nothing we can do anymore. It's a real defeatist attitude, and we should never give up. We should never give up on each other.
Card 3, why are the world's feelings or the peoples of the world's feelings justified?
It's a repeat card in the same position.
It's the reverse Six of Swords again.
Because we feel like we're getting nowhere. We're getting nowhere. And, people are resigning themselves to accept things as they are. And I don't think that's a good thing. I don't.
Right. Literally, this card means we're stuck where we're at. We're not able to move beyond things that are troubling to us or things that are not good for us, things that hold us back. And, all of the swords are mostly about a sense of aggression or angry energy. It's not always that bad, but a lot of them really are.
So, world.
What can you do to turn that frown upside down? I know what you're thinking, but there isn't a card with a hand grenade on it.
So when I look at a card like this, which ties into
Chariot.
Literally everything we've just said here, but I have to look at this as, okay, it's a negative card, right? But how do we turn the frown upside down? Because we look at those negative attributes that are shown on this card as the lesson here, what we need to turn around. This inertia has to stop. That we have to keep fighting for the change we want. We have to be more determined than ever to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves or for ourselves and our communities. I think here it's very clear this is showing all of this inertia, which this card reversed is about more inertia and inability to get moving, has to change.
I like that. I sort of see something a little different. Like this could be saying that the way to turn the frown upside down is to stop the over energy of everything that's bad in the world, cause the inertia of capitalism or totalitarianism, or basically cessate all those things that keep the world running as it is.
So in other words, to put a stop to what's causing all of this, to try to solve all the wars, I agree. I agree, technically.
It doesn't mean it's realistic.
I think we're on the same page in that I'm basically saying we got to be determined to turn this around. And what you're saying is we have to put a stop to the bad stuff, which is basically what we have to do.
Right. In your point, it's more like we have to take action to stop this.
Well, we do.
And my point is sort of like, yes, but the goal
is to stop this.
Right, and
told you,
it's
they really do all fit.
It's a win-win.
So let's quickly recap this because I think we pretty much have already.
Yeah, we're verging on an hour.
I'm just going to go very, very briefly with these three cards. Look at this. It's all about pulling back, feeling disempowered, only caring about yourself and your own needs right now because you feel you need to. But taking those anti-anxiety drugs is not going to get the root causes of your anxiety to go away. It will dull it. And of course, I don't mean, for people who definitely have chemical imbalances in the brain. I'm talking about people who just can't cope with life in general. And so, and refer to pills or alcohol or whatever. And it's not moving us forward anywhere, is it? Because that's why our feelings are justified. We feel here, I just have to accept things as they are because this is too much to deal with. I have no control. I have no power.
You sum it up pretty well, and I guess the other part of this is that because this encapsulates how the peoples of the world feel about this on some collective level, it's very likely that really, conspiracy theorists, that this is how the world's events, activities, etc., expressions do subtly create the paradigm that orders this world.
Okay, and so we both agree in a different approach to it that this needs to stop, all of these stressors. We have to keep fighting the root causes. We have to stop what's causing all of this. And we have to continue to move, not allow it to stagnate us, not allow us to be resigned to accepting this status quo.
I like that very much.
So that's what we have for the world. Wow. Good luck with that.
If you sign off in 15 minutes, we made 1 hour exactly.
Well, I want to...
Seconds, I'm sorry.
15 seconds. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's been a tough one. All the way around, I think a lot of emotional stuff in these readings, as well as some other things that came up.
We really hope you got something out of this, and if you care to, drop us a line on a comment on this program, or write us at our Gmail, TFT Tarot for Today at gmail.com, or leave us a comment if you're on our Facebooks or our Twitters or other social media where there is TFT Tarot for Today.
Well, thank you again, and until the next fourth quarter moon, try to keep on smiling. Bye-bye.
Bye now.